Hey, what's going on? Hope everyone's doing well. Merry Christmas to everyone out there. I cannot believe we're closing in on Christmas. Haven't bought one gift yet. Nope. My goal this year, though, is to not step foot into any store. No malls, no stores, nothing. I'm doing everything online. That's my goal. We'll see how far it gets. Wanted to speak to you today about something really interesting I learned yesterday. And let me first start with insulin. I've spoken a little bit about insulin in the past, but as we know, insulin's major role is to take sugar in our system, in our body, and to shunt it and to push it into cells for storage, hopefully used as glycogen, energy we can use at a later time. What happens though if insulin has to work overtime, if it has to work too much, for instance, if we have a poor diet and we are eating a lot of sugary products or high carbohydrate foods, insulin has to constantly work because we're constantly spiking it because of the food we're eating and the sugar that's accumulating in our blood. If this happens, sometimes we can become insulin resistance, meaning that insulin can no longer work, it can no longer be effective and push the sugar into cells. But what I learned yesterday, and this is really interesting, I try to learn something new every day. So my two goals are not to go shopping in any stores and to learn something new every day. We'll see if it happens. But I did learn something new yesterday, and it has to do with salt. I never knew this. So I wanted to pass this along to you in case you didn't know this also. But what do we always hear about salt? We always, or at least, what we've heard in the past is lower your sodium intake, lower your salt, because they've linked that to cardiovascular disease, but not so fast. Listen to this. If you are reducing your sodium intake, your salt intake, if you have a low salt diet, that can actually make us more insulin resistance. And again, insulin resistance means that insulin can no longer work. It can no longer take the sugar, push it into cells. When that occurs, we become pre-diabetic. Our sugar levels, our glucose levels skyrocket because it's circulating throughout our blood because insulin can no longer work. And again, if we are on a low sodium, low salt diet, that can actually trigger or enhance even more insulin resistance. Big trouble if that occurs. Something else I learned. So I guess I learned two things yesterday. I'm on a roll. That's about my max though. That's about all I can handle are two new things a day in terms of learning. But I did learn this also, that we speak a lot of, and I'm an advocate of a low carbohydrate diet of food intake, because if we're eating a lot of carbs, that's going to increase our sugar, that's going to increase insulin spikes. So I'm an advocate, as I know of a lot of people, and a lot of people are doing this now, low carbohydrate foods, low carbohydrate diets. What happens though when we eat lower carbohydrates is that we start to secrete a lot more fluid, because with every, if I remember this correctly, every gram of carbohydrate, we secrete 3 grams of water weight. So if we're secreting a lot more water because we're lowering our carbohydrates, guess what? We're secreting a lot of sodium also. A lot of salt, a lot of sodium is being secreted also if we're on a low carbohydrate diet. So again, we would be reducing our sodium levels if we're eating lower carbs. And again, with reduced sodium comes more insulin resistance. So it's like a double-edged sword. So the take-home message is, if you're eating a lower carbohydrate diet, or just you've been naturally trying to reduce sodium in your diet for whatever reason, if you think that's going to cause cardiovascular disease. And on a side note, very interesting also, I'm just giving you so many golden nuggets today. You better hit that subscribe button. If you haven't, shame on you. Anyhow, another golden nugget. Now I lost my train of thought. No, if you, I was going back to cardiovascular disease. Sorry, sometimes it escapes me, but it usually comes back. Cardiovascular disease has always been linked to what? High blood pressure. High blood pressure linked to what? High sodium intake, right? No. Now the research is indicating that, of course, it all comes together now. If we have a lot of insulin resistance, if we have a lot of glucose, high glucose in our body, that in fact is causing cardiovascular disease. Not as we presumed before, that it was high with increased sodium in our system. No, they've actually found that now they can correlate high glucose levels to cardiovascular disease. Unbelievable what's coming out now. And I'm trying to learn as much as I can and pass it on to you. So again, if you're lowering your carbohydrates diet-wise, if you've naturally just been trying to take more sodium out of your diet, please take a second look at that, because what we're finding out now with the most current research is low sodium diets, low carbohydrate diets, when that sodium level is reducing, we are actually increasing insulin resistance, which we do not want. We want that insulin to be able to work effectively, to take that sugar out of our blood and to be stored as glycogen, as energy. So the take-home message is, please look at your sodium levels. I actually read also that in pre-diabetics, they're actually increasing their sodium amount. They're telling them to ingest more salt, and that is actually helping reduce their insulin resistance, helping the insulin resistance to become more insulin sensitive, so the insulin starts working properly again. I know I laid a lot on you today, but please, if you have to listen again, please listen again. I'm sure you'd love to see my beautiful face again anyhow. Maybe not that, but at least for the information. Please take a look at it, research it yourself, Google it, low sodium, see how that again can make insulin resistance even worse. All right, I hope that helps. Again, Merry Christmas to you. Now I have to do some online shopping, and I will do some more research tonight, see what I can dig up, and of course, let you know as soon as I can. All right, that's all I have. Get your Christmas shopping done also. If you haven't bought me a gift, by all means, you can get me a gift. Always accepting of that. Thanks so much for tuning in. I hope this has been helpful despite my antics. All right, I will talk to you soon. Bye-bye. Take care.